Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I want to do a review and a breakdown of X-23, one of the new characters from the update, so you guys can get a sense of how powerful the character is, if you should invest in her with rank up tickets or mega rank up tickets, and how you should build her if you've already decided to kind of rank her up, and where you should go with her gear and her ISO and her obelisk and things like that. But before we get into the actual discussion of the character, I want to talk briefly about the acquisition for the character. Now, you get her from the Shield Labs processor, but it's random, so I don't want to discuss that one. Instead, I want to talk specifically about the event battle. And while I do welcome new content from Netmarble, and I am thankful that this content fills up enough of my time, it's not finishable in 2 or 3 minutes. It is quite repetitive, but more importantly and more to the detriment of a video like this is that it appears the bio drop rate for X-23 is extremely low. Now, I know I already discussed that you basically get enough bios to get X-23 to 4 stars just by completing these 4 targets, and then you can use rank up tickets to get her to 5 stars and 6 stars. But even at that point, if you don't have crystals to spend to purchase other kinds of, bios for her, which these packs are terrible, by the way. You should not purchase these relay packs if you don't have a mega tier 2 ticket or X gene selectors or anything like that. It's going to be a long time before you're able to get X-23 ranked up. So I really do hope that Netmarble takes a look at the drop rate for the bios and in some way modifies it. If at all, they should also set in some sort of completion reward every day. So if you can complete all 4 of the chapters, which would require everyone to get the Wolverine uniform and get it to rare, it would automatically guarantee you, let's say, 10 bios or 15 bios. And that would be a way of incentivizing people to go out and get Wolverine's uniform if they don't already have it, and it would also make people feel good about completing all of this content every single day, and it won't just feel like a repetitive grind hoping to get lucky on some item. You know that even if you get really unlucky with none of the drops, at the end you'll get 10 or 15 bios, so there's that kind of consistent reward for your time invested. So I really hope that kind of falls on some open ears and some woke ears. But let's jump back into X-23. She's obviously a clone of Wolverine, so if you like the way that Wolverine plays, you're also going to really appreciate Laura. What I have to say as a summary of the character is that she plays a lot like Wolverine, except that she's weaker than Wolverine. It's pretty evident that this is not a kind of improvement on our original Berserker. She's weaker in terms of her damage output. Her skills don't have as much AoE as Wolverine's, especially her 5th skill. It has much less AoE range than Wolverine's. He can clear out the whole stage of robots and be hitting the Frost Beast in Extreme Alliance battle, for example, whereas her Wild Rage barely hits enemies outside of the Frost Beast's range. So she has much less AoE on her skills, she has less damage overall, but I think the most important thing that people are going to notice is that she actually dies a lot faster than Wolverine. The typing to speed, the lowered HP, the lowered physical and energy defense, the fact that she doesn't have super armor natively on her tier 2 passive the way that Logan does. He also has an all defense boost that she doesn't have. All of those things together make her a lot squishier, which is surprising because people will see Wild Sense, her 4-star passive, and they'll say, okay, she's going to survive just as well as Wolverine. Not the case. I've seen her get one-shotted and two-shotted by world bosses and other kind of mid-level difficulty content. So you do have to take that into consideration when you're building her, and it might be a better idea to build her defensively, which doesn't actually need to happen for Wolverine. You can build him as offensively as you like, and he's still an absolute tank. Now, of course, Wolverine has the benefit of having a uniform. The uniform gives him a damage reduction passive effect, which definitely adds a lot to his tankiness, but I even remember before that, he was extremely difficult to kill, and it's not so the case for Laura, so please keep that in mind as a comparison. However, the character is quite good because on top of her healing, she gets a buff whenever she takes some damage. So you don't want to build her too defensively. For example, you don't want to build her with a lot of dodge because then she's never going to trigger her Wild Sense passive, or she won't trigger it as often, and you want her to take some damage to start that buff to get the crit rate, the all speed, and the all attack. With those things in mind, you can build her to have sub par or kind of below level attack speed and crit rate, as as an example for me, I stopped at 120% attack speed because I know she's going to get a 10% buff, which is going to put her at the max. So you can build that and work that into your stats. As far as the actual profile goes, you're going to see probably a much lower physical attack number than mine because my cards are very physically focused in terms of their numbers, but just try to get her physical attack as high as you can, and then secondarily I would focus on her HP. I haven't equipped her with Uru yet, but I'm, aside from physical attack Uru, but I am probably planning to go ahead with HP and just make her a more defensive version. I don't think that making her offensive is going to work as well because it'll kind of end up being I one-shot you or you one-shot me situation, and I just don't like that for the character. I want to see her survive. Conversely, I went with an offensive Obelisk because it has guard break immunity. I think guard break immunity, because she doesn't have super armor, is pretty important. She has instant iframes on 2 skills, and then she has a wind-up iframe on another skill, so you can be the judge of whether you think she needs guard break immunity, but I think it's important for her against world bosses and against characters, and especially like a 3-on-1 situation in something like Alliance Conquest, where she might get cornered, be the last one to survive, and if she's constantly getting guard broken, she'll never be able to do any damage and out heal all of the damage she's taking. I happen to have one with a 180 proc and recovery rate, so it pretty much suits her and synergizes perfectly. I would have preferred max HP because although the recovery rate is good because her recovery ticks and kind of activates so often, because her HP is so low, it's barely above 20,000, it's just not healing for that much when it heals for the 5%. So ideally, something like Guard Break Max HP Damage Proc or Guard Break Max HP Invincibility would be really nice. If you didn't want the Guard Break at all, you could do Max HP Crit Damage Proc or Max HP Crit Rate Damage Proc, or again the same stats with Invincibility. As far as the CTP goes for Laura, I've had some viewers of my live stream tell me that the CTP of Destruction is very good on her with the chance to penetrate, the damage proc, and the guard break in addition to the crit damage. I think that's a great choice. The CTP of Energy is also a good option because of the chain hit damage. A lot of her skills hit multiple times. Both of those are very offensively focused. I wouldn't recommend the CTP of Patience. You could go with the CTP of Refinement, but I just don't think it does enough for her. It's purely defensive and it just doesn't really build her up to a respectable point. And then you could try, I haven't heard anything yet, but the CTP of Transcendence seems pretty good, although Physical Reflect is not really much of a threat anymore now that we don't see many Luke Cages or Jessica Joneses around in the game. Her ISO set, I think, is pretty much set on either Overdrive or Power of Angry Hulk. Power of Angry Hulk is not as useful because the attack speed will be overwritten by her Wild Sense, and you'll go over the cap unless you have really low or no attack speed on your card, so keep that in mind. If you wanted to go with a defensive set, I think Drastic Density would be fine. Binary Power would also be fine, but I would probably prefer Drastic Density because it's got the all attack plus the max HP, which is a lot nicer, I think. And she does still need a boost in damage if you don't build her offensively at all. Finally, I do want to leave you guys with some gameplay so we can talk about her skill rotation. So I'm going to jump quickly into a world boss against Infinity Thanos so you can see how she plays out. I was practicing with this team kind of casually. So with Laura, she has an instant iframe on 5 and 4. You want to proc her damage proc on her 5th skill if you have one, because it deals the most damage. It might not activate right away, but as you can see, once it starts activating, it really just tears through the enemy. Her second skill and first skill don't have iframes, but her first skill will often leave you behind the enemy. You kind of go through them, much like Logan's 5th or second skill rather. So you can time that in order to go behind them. The 4th skill also does that from time to time. But because you have certain skills, the 1 and the 2, without iframes, you basically want to juggle those other skills in between your iframe skills. So you don't want to do 5, 4, and 3 consecutively unless you're getting hit by an opponent consecutively, like with Thanos here, because you want to spread out your iframes so that you have kind of damage popping up in between. So there, I did 5 into 1 into 3 into 4, and now I can do 2 and kind of run away. And that way you spread out your iframes, you spread out your ability to dodge attacks, your ability to kind of interrupt what the enemy's doing, and you can kind of keep pouring on the damage with Laura the whole time. She's very much in your face. Because she has more iframes than Wolverine does, she kind of can be more aggressive than he can in terms of just pure attacking. The only thing you need to be careful of is that she can't take as much of a hit. So you'll see it when you practice with her. Essentially, there will be parts where you just take a lot of damage and you might get one-shotted or something, and then that's kind of the end of things. But she clears this pretty quickly. There's no leadership going on. It's just her damage. If I actually stand too close to Thanos when he's doing that, he can actually one-shot me. I've already been one-shotted by him when I was practicing it, so it's kind of scary. But here we're going to have to run away from the meteors. She's actually quite fast. Her base attacks or movement speed is pretty good. But if you just juggle through the iframes, you should be good. And the damage, as you can see, is not bad. I just don't want to get debuffed. Then if you get debuffed, you lose your tier 2 effects. And then you don't do as much damage, which is exactly what's happening right now. But I think we've got it here with the combo flurry. She does have, wow. She does have a little bit of a targeting issue, I notice at times. I cleared this a lot faster when I can time my damage procs. With my damage proc times, and kind of in sync with my 5th skill, I cleared it in about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So this is pretty slow for me. It's about 45 seconds too slow. But there is one thing that I think might be patched or could be changed with a uniform or something. Hopefully it's patched. It seems that, and you guys can tell me in the comments if you're having the same issue, it seems that sometimes her skills are activating but not hitting. So you can see the animation and she's moving around, but they're just not registering the right number of hits. So you can go into skill preview and count the number of hits for each skill. Her 5th skill does 23 hits, etc. But sometimes I just don't see the right amount of damage, roughly speaking, estimatedly, popping up when I'm using some of these skills. So I'm not sure if it's a matter of the enemy just dodging me, or if it's a matter of these skills having to be very close to the enemy when they're activated in order for the full effect to occur. But it is kind of a quirk that I thought I would point out to you guys in case any of you are experiencing a similar thing where her DPS can be a little bit erratic, and sometimes it's really consistently high, which is nice, and then sometimes it dips pretty low, as it did for me against Infinity Thanos, and you're left wondering why she didn't do so much damage. But aside from the kind of oddities with her skills, and aside from how painful it appears to be to collect her biometrics from the event battle, I do have to say that this is a pretty fun character, well balanced, not too strong, definitely not able to overtake her clearly superior father, who is native tier 2 and also combat. I would have liked to see a little bit more of an embrace of the speed class. She feels like she really should be a combat type, given that she doesn't have any kind of quirks or kind of traits of a speed character. She plays exactly like a combat character, so it would have been nice to see some guaranteed dodge on her part, but I guess that couldn't be worked into her skill set. I probably would have put it on Wild Sense if I was Netmarble instead of the all speed or instead of the crit rate, given her like a 20% guaranteed dodge or 30% or something like that. But those are just my opinions and thoughts. I am enjoying the character. I don't think she's kind of meta in the sense that she's going to be top tier or like her father, quote unquote father, but I think she's a balanced, fun character, and I'm very glad to see, and I welcome these types of characters in the game. So let me know what you guys think of X23, how much you enjoy playing with her, and if you think those claws are too freakishly long. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.
Yeah.